life, you have to communicate how you like to be loved. They need to learn it from you.
But you almost need like an hourly session a week, every week or so, every month at least, to explain what you're honestly feeling, or what you're not getting, or what you're, whether it's maintaining your own identity in the relationship, or talking about the things you want and you're not getting, or what you're worried about. It's like if you don't communicate these things, if you can't communicate these things, they'll never get addressed.
And also, how do you view giving the instructions? Some people think if I have to communicate it, they're not the right person. But sometimes you might need to tell your wife, like, I really appreciate it if you wear lingerie once in a while. It makes it different. Or telling your husband that, you can be a little bit more assertive. You can make the decisions. Don't rely on me. It's the inability to express yourself, but then expecting the person to know how to mold to your needs is what's going to cause a breakdown in communication.
I can't speak for women, but I can speak for men. I think what men really appreciate is feeling appreciated.
Yeah.
And so many people think men just want sex, but I think feeling appreciated, that'll lead to sex. It'll lead to all kinds of wonderful things.
Which way round do you think it is? Because as I was saying, I've become a bit jaded, and I'm a big advocate of like showing men appreciation, like, even if it's acts of service, cooking, cleaning. I have no objections with that, and I really encourage women to lean into their femininity. But having worked with so many men over the years, I feel like until they get the sex, they can't appreciate the other acts of service. And so it's almost like the baseline. So what I mean by this is... No,
you can.
You can?
With the right woman, you totally would appreciate her responding to your act of kindness or your help or whatever you're doing for her.
So say if she cooks and cleans but she doesn't sleep with you, would you still feel appreciated?
What time period are we talking about?
Let's say every 3 months. Every month and I don't know what's a lot for men. For men, that
would get frustrating.
What about if she sleeps with you every night but doesn't cook?
If you had to pick a door, everything in life is a balance.
You know what I realize, and this is where I become jaded. Where I become
some
jaded.
Guys don't need their woman to cook.
Yeah, because again, like I said, I work with the 1%. As a man becomes more and more successful, he can outsource acts of service. So he can order food, he can have a cleaner, he can have somebody dry clean all his clothes. So the normal acts of service and signs of appreciation a woman can provide, he doesn't require. And even that emotional intimacy, when he's so busy all day, every day, does he really have time to talk about her day or what's been going on? So when they get to the 1% and they start becoming 1% earners, all the other acts of service that are really feminine and beautiful, they become less valuable, and the primary focus is her sexual capabilities.
Are the relationships amongst the you calling it 1%?
Yeah, the 1%.
Wow. Are the relationships amongst that 1% any happier and more fulfilling than the rest of us?
It is far worse. far worse, and I would say that on both ends it's far worse, particularly for men, particularly for the male end of things, because they're bringing a lot to to get the lifestyle the 1% create. It's traveling, it's jet lag, it's years of college, it's lots of bills, it's lots of stress, it's lots of negotiation. For a woman to then access that, all it is she has to know what he likes sexually, and she will access that life. It's that simple for her. And she doesn't have to be somebody who is traditional. She doesn't have to be somebody who is respectful. She doesn't have to be somebody who knows how to cook or is a good mother. When the men become the 1%, they get less critical and less focused on all the other traits, and they just focus on their stress relief. And women and sex becomes their stress relief. So that's what they go for. And as a man becomes more successful, in my personal experience, they are far more likely to marry and invest in gold diggers and escorts. They are not looking for wives as they get to the top. They are actually looking for human kind of stress relief in the form of just whoever pleases them sexually. Is that really jaded?
Yeah, well,
you look confused.
I think because you're working with that 1%, and it's a very distorted.
It's very distorted.
Segment of society.
It's very distorted. And the other thing is it's a real, because it's the opposite of what you get told men want online. And it's the opposite of what I used to teach. I used to be very much like, being, reserved, being loyal, being sexually loyal to your man, cooking and cleaning. This all matters. I realized that it doesn't matter as they get more successful. You'll see Drake having a baby with a porn star. You'll see Chris Brown, the rappers, they all have pregnant, get like dancers and strippers pregnant, because as they become busier, their social battery decreases so much that the ability to maintain a normal, healthy connection, which involves vetting her, getting to know her, communicating with her, that all goes down. So all they need is somebody who is quite empty and a bit of a bimbo, but as long as she looks great and performs great, they're relatively happy with that.
Yeah, you're living in a stratosphere.
It really is. Have you not noticed that as men get more successful, their taste of women gets less and less meaningful?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
No?
I've always been really lucky, so I don't know.
Yeah, but also I would imagine it also depends on the flashiness of the man. The more flashy he is with the lifestyle, the more he attracts that empty vessel.
You attract the wrong kind of people.
Yeah, it's how he makes his money also matters. How he makes his money and how he spends his money matters. But if Are you a successful man who has achieved endless heights in his career? Are you somebody who's absolutely made it in his professional life, but his personal life just doesn't seem to match up? Are you somebody who goes through intense highs in business, but intense lows in your personal relationships? You might be somebody who has been blocking out relationships or entering relationships where you don't feel appreciated, or it's lacking the sexual or emotional intimacy that you require. If this sounds like you, then I have a program specifically catered to your needs. I've been helping high-end clients for a really long time, and I'm able to identify the exact problems, the exact causes, and the exact solutions. So if this sounds like you, then please feel free to register below your details. If he just happens to be a successful man, I think you'll still look for a deep and meaningful relationship. But if he's one of those men that is in a constant pursuit of money and flash, he is totally fine with a bimbo that he gets to sleep with. And I don't see anything wrong with it. It definitely works out in her favor because she gets a great life. But this is what I've noticed, which has been a real kind of humbling experience for me, which I didn't realize men were like this.
Yeah, see, for me, it's like when I find a female that I really can get serious about,
yeah,
I just make it clear that I am the best possible option in her life.
How do you do that?
It's just by the way I treat her, but what I do to make her life easier, better, more pleasurable, whatever.
Yeah,
and that just paves the way for things to work out nicely.
And I think that's really important, but selection is everything. If you're choosing a woman who is looking for her best option and wants a loyal, loving relationship, that works perfectly. But if you're choosing a woman who's trying to extract resources, you can be the best.
You can tell the difference, though.
You would think that. I don't think men can tell the difference, because there's so many times where I'll release a video and it's like a light bulb moment for so many men. And I'm like, you didn't think that this 23-year-old is using you for your 55-year-old money? It's like they didn't think that. They genuinely believed this woman half their age, or this woman that, they've flown over from another country, they believe they're special in her eyes. They don't realize the game. And whereas women are so aware of the game, when you speak to a 25-year-old, like let's say sex worker, she will tell you she understands men like the back of her hand. So she knows how to give him some fake self-esteem. She'll know
Women are much smarter about
They're
these
much
games,
smarter.
aren't they?
So smart. She will tell you how to work a man in 5 minutes. But these men who have gone from escort after stripper after stripper, they still believe the lies women tell them, because those lies feed this low self-esteem that they're craving an inflation of. So they will still believe it. And no matter what the evidence shows them, they will still believe it. There's such a naivety towards women that men have that women just don't have, particularly as she becomes more beautiful. Or if she is beautiful, she loses all her naivety about men. Whereas men, no matter how rich they get, they don't lose their naivety about women. They want to believe every word she says.
Yeah, men are simple.
They're simple. Yeah, they'll believe what you tell them, not what you show them.
How has the field of relationship coaching changed since you began?
I would say, like from my experience, as I've become more jaded, I have become a lot more jaded, because I used to be very much like, tell me about your communication style, tell me about your conflict style. Now sometimes I'll go into a couple and I've got a few skills that I think like is very rare. I can look at a couple within a minute. I can tell if a woman is having an affair. Within a minute, I can tell if somebody's having an affair. I think that's my superpower. The video will turn on, and they haven't said a word. And I remember having a couple not so long ago. The video turned on, and I looked at them, and I said, "She's having an affair." I just could within a second. And I asked a few questions, but I knew what was going on. I asked a few questions, and I allowed her to start. And I said, "Do you mind explaining?" And she's like, "Oh, he's a great husband. Just we're not in love." And I said, "You're having an affair. You can be honest, you're having an affair." And he went, "Actually, I've just caught her recently, and that's why we booked the call." And I said, "I could tell completely that she's having an affair. And I could tell by the fact that, A, she can't find real flaws in you. She's talking about something you did wrong 4 years ago. Or she'll mention that, oh, he, was emotionally abusive because he didn't remember an anniversary 1 year, 5 years ago. They bring up things from the past and make the man feel guilty today because they're trying to cover up with what's the real problem. And the other thing is they're totally disconnected. They're checked out of the relationship. When a woman's genuinely loyal in the relationship, I turn on the camera and she's almost in tears, like, "My marriage is falling apart, help us." But this woman was so disinterested, so like this, okay, looking around, and he's suited and booted and ready for this call. I said, within a second, I could tell she's having an affair. And I said, "You are going to waste your life trying to change and believe that it's something to do with today's problems." She's disconnected. And it's like that, I can tell. So I think my skill set, whereas before I would try and figure out if there's an emotional disconnect or if there's something to do with conflict, now I'm just like, "I'm so sorry, but I can spot it a mile away now." Yeah. And I can also tell on the other flip side of things, I can tell when a man is addicted to pornography. Those have become my skills. I'm like, okay, and I'm like, okay, this is what's really going on. And like that. So those have become my two skill sets, which is a terrible skill set to have, by the way. Can you imagine having a dinner party and being like, porn addict, cheater, that's kind of what it's become.
You have a sixth sense.
Yeah. Because it's a skewed, like I said, if you're a doctor and all you're getting is one particular illness, you can walk into a room and spot it on people's faces. It happens the same with psychological illnesses.
But we're talking in generalizations.
Of course, yeah.
And there are women who are pure-hearted.
I'm not talking about all people. Women. I'm just talking about the ones the men that. This is the thing when people say, "Oh, generalizing." Grow up. You're not paying for a one-to-one session in a podcast. You're not paying for a personalized experience about you. Somebody's telling you about their generalizations because they can't physically discuss every intricacy of every person.
But this is the danger of getting your psychotherapy on a.
If you want your personalized experience, go book a session. But if you expect a podcast to talk about every intricacy about you and your partner and your relationship, it's not going to happen. Except that when people go online, when people give it's their general explanations of what they've experienced, because otherwise it would be pointless for pointing out the one tiny anomaly. Generalizations are there for a reason. That's the whole point of every psychological theory is a generalization.
Are there? You can give me the female perspective, but this applies to men as well. We're so focused on, like, you have to be this for your partner, you have to be that for your partner, and to make it work, to go in a positive direction. But are there situations where you can find somebody who is the right partner, but you're just not able to accept them?
In that moment where you just can't receive the love.
You don't believe you deserve them, or it's just bad timing, or
does
whatever.
That happen with men a lot as well?
I think it happens both ways.
Yeah, because it happens very much with women, is that you can see somebody who actually on paper just is treating you right, is kind to you, does want to get married, does want to label it, and same with men. They'll meet a woman that is all of those things, but for some reason they just are still stuck on the woman that won't reply to their text, or the guy that won't label the relationship. And there is almost a part of them that has become attracted to inconsistency. They believe inconsistency is an indicator that this partner is valuable, and availability suggests this partner must be low value. So they associate availability with something wrong with them, because what it really signals is something is wrong with your own self-esteem. There's a part of you that doesn't believe you are worthy of commitment, and you are worthy of love, and you're worthy of this level of attention. So instead of appreciating it, you start to question the person who's giving you consistent love. You start to think, what's wrong with you? Why would you want to spend so much time with me? Why would you want to call me? Why would you want to check in if I'm okay? You start questioning their motives, because you can't believe someone would just enjoy and love your company, because either you had an upbringing that made you feel unloved, or you just didn't have access to the opposite gender when you were growing up, and you just formed a core belief that you're not attractive and you're not what people desire. So when people shows you the opposite, you question their judgment rather than appreciate their dedication.
It's like a gambling addiction where you get that payoff once out of every 20, 30 times.
Yeah.
But that challenge keeps you
And I
on the hunt.
urge everybody in that position to really try and shift to a consistent partner. It's a game changer in every area of your life. When you if you are super insecure, if you're super anxious all the time, or when you finally find someone who treats you well and you receive that love and you appreciate it, you won't believe what an instant antidepressant it is.
Yeah.
It's like an anti-anxiety drug.
You talk about antidepressant.
It's literally an antidepressant. Having a consistent, available partner that you can trust and loves you and makes you feel loved, it's better than any antidepressant you can receive. Yeah, as long as you also like them back and you're not just using them.
Yeah.
That's the key ingredient, the reciprocity.
You need to like them back as well.
You have to like them back. If you don't like them back, they will be seen as a nuisance. But if you like them back, it's seen as a drug.
Do you believe that there always has to be an imbalance in terms of one partner liking the other one more? Or can both people like each other?
One thing, I don't know whether there should be, but one thing, biggest mistake I think online is the belief that your husband should like you more than the wife. The man should like the woman more. I always say it's so essential that the woman likes the man more than he likes her. Essential. And the reason I say that is when a woman likes a man more, because divorce is in her hands a bit more. Men are relatively placid when it comes to relationships. They are relatively okay with monotony. They're okay if the relationship is not, overexciting, blah, blah, they'll get by with it. Women are not like that. If they don't feel loved, they don't feel consistency, they don't feel excitement, whatever, their emotions take over their judgment. So when a woman loves a man more than he loves her, I'm not saying that's ideal, but the relationship lasts a lot longer because she's willing to fight through the rough times. But when a man likes a woman more... Hi guys, welcome back to my Patreon, where every single week you can tune in and get exclusive content. Not only that, but you can also message me anytime and receive a response within 20